It's non-denominational,
Okay, cool.
so it's just a bunch of different
That's awesome.
things all grouped together.
Yeah, right. Cool.
All right. Hey, you guys.
Hey.
Y'all see me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Nice to meet you. It's Rachel and
Yeah.
Ava, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
nice to meet you.
Awesome. So nice to meet y'all. Thanks for letting me record this. I get this question a lot, and I've been wanting to do this for a while. So Lindsay arranged to do a recording here, and I'm at my house. I don't know if she told you, my little one's sick, so you might see a little kid run up here.
Aw.
So yeah, Rachel, real quick, let me make sure. I think it says it's recording.
Yeah, it says it on my screen.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just edit it from there. So, all right, well, what I'm going to do is just like a quick introduction.
Okay.
And then y'all, I have some of the questions that you had emailed before, and then we'll just do kind of an informal, answer your questions about naturopathic medicine and integrative medicine, all that good stuff. So, all right, 3, 2, 1. Hey there, everybody. It's Tiffany Jackson here from EcoHealth Wellness Center and Detox Spa. And I have 2 students on with me. I commonly get asked questions, just, how did you get into naturopathic medical school? What made your decision to come back and work in Charleston, and what states are licensed? And, students out there are always kind of digging into going to naturopathic medical school as a profession. So I thought we would just do a recording here, and I have Rachel and Ava. So thank you guys so much for joining in. So who wants to go first?
You go for it, Ava.
Okay. So my first question is can you just explain like kind of what you do and all that stuff?
Of course. So, well, when I went to naturopathic medical school, we learn a lot. I always tell people it's kind of a hodgepodge of natural treatments and therapies that you learn. So, going to a 4-year licensed naturopathic school, I learned everything from diet, nutrition, physical medicine, which is like how to do a manipulation on somebody, acupuncture. We did, pharmaceuticals. I learned homeopathy, all sorts of different diets and detoxification. We learned environmental medicine. We learned all about hormones. I mean, it was such a full spectrum, but then using how to heal the body basically naturally with herbs and supplements and diets and homeopathy. What can we use? Docere means do no harm. I mean, that doesn't mean that. That's one of our principles. Docere means doctor. So that's a Latin word for doctor. And docere means to teach. So I think naturopathic medicine really teaches you how to teach your patients how to get better with diet and supplements and nutrition. So what was your original question?
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Can you explain kind of like what you do now?
So that was just a little introduction to how I was trained in naturopathic medicine. Now, what I do at EcoHealth is quite unique. So I'm not your average naturopathic doctor. So I think what's a little bit confusing is naturopathic doctors kind of all go down their own little path once they become one. Some people just only specialize in homeopathy. Some just do the nutrition. I happened to get really excited about environmental medicine. I had some amazing environmental medicine mentors, and it always made sense to me that stuff that we were being exposed to in our environment, meaning our diet and what's in our food and artificial flavors and preservatives and toxins that's in our water, and maybe pesticides we're spraying around, and maybe stuff, heavy metals that are in vaccines, and you just start putting them all together. I'm like, I think this is what's disrupting the body and the physiology. This is what's making people sick. So I really got into that environmental medicine. I really got into understanding gut health and, why do people get constipated? Why do they not? I'm kind of a why person. And then I also became fascinated with nutrition. And I really think a lot of people suffer from nutritional deficiencies. So what I do at EcoHealth is focus on those things. So I help people, they come into my office and they do a consult. And I always tell people I'm kind of a detective. I'm the one that's taking time to listen to your story, listen to your history, and then pull together what could possibly be going wrong. Because most people come to me, they weren't born sick like that. And it's like their symptoms gradually got to get worse. And usually there's a trigger when we get in their history. So I really play detective and try to figure out what's wrong with their bodies. And then I'm trained on how to fix it. So once I figure out, is it hormone balance? We do lab testing. I do blood testing, finger stick food testing. We do urine testing, stool testing. I find the testing to be really valuable because it is kind of unique to that individual, and it helps me really pinpoint what's going on with their body. But not all of your naturopathic doctors are going to do that. So that's what I do. I work with people one-on-one. I love to teach. I've created a lot of online webinars. I've also held workshops. We do detox programs, and I'm getting ready to launch my first retreat here in April. So, but that's what I do. I'm pretty one-on-one or group setting and talking to patients. Did that help?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So one
Um,
other thing you should probably know
okay.
too, like it's not like your typical doctor, at least I don't work this way. Some doctors do, where they just run their office like a doctor's office. Like you just kind of come in, they're one in, one out, and they're just kind of going. I really customize programs. I do like a 12-week program, and I really work with the person. A lot of health coaching goes along with it. So not only am I, the expert that has helped figure out what's wrong with them, I'm also developing the plan, doing the labs, and then following them and coaching them and helping them. Now I do have an assistant, and I do have some online webinars that I'd be happy to give y'all access to, so y'all can go in and learn. I have 36 different online webinars that teaches patients everything from diet, nutrition, detoxification, how to correct nutritional deficiencies, understanding kind of the mind-body connection, and some yoga and emotional freedom technique. We're looking at a holistic approach here. So it's not just, oh, go to her and take a supplement or change your diet and everything miraculously gets better. It's way more complex than that. Was that your only question, Ava? Let me see what else I had here.
I have another question.
Yes.
Can you talk about the importance of gut health and like what that has to do with the body?
Yes. So, the gut, I wish I was at my office, because then I would turn around and show you all of my posters, and I have a picture of, the digestive system and understanding, what the gut is and how interconnected it is to the rest of your body. So I think, at least my perspective is, regular conventional medicine has basically compartmentalized the body. And it's like, oh, you have your pulmonary doctors, your lung doctors, you have your head, ear, nose, and throat, or ENT doctors, you have your heart doctor, cardiovascular systems. Like we've broken it up into all these different systems. And then of course you have your gastroenterologist. Well, like when you just think about how the body works, it just makes sense to me. Like, okay, we all have to eat for a reason. We have to drink water, everything coming in, there's a system to it. Like it goes in, it has to get absorbed. Everything you eat has to break down. You have to get the energy from your food. You have to get proteins, you have to get vitamins, you have to get the minerals from your food, and you have to break it down and absorb it properly in order for that to get into your bloodstream and then go to all of your other cells and your brain and your heart, and to make all these other organs function properly. So when the gut is not working right, when you are constipated, or when you don't have enough good microbes, let's say you've been on a ton of antibiotics and you've disrupted that ecosystem, the healthy bugs, the gut is not able to make the right vitamins and minerals. The gut is not able to digest properly. It becomes damaged, it gets inflamed, and now it's not protecting you. Like the gut is there, it's this lining that really protects a lot of bacteria and bad viruses, and we have good bugs and we have bad bugs. And if you don't have a really good gut integrity and a good lining, if it's damaged, it sets you up for food proteins to leak through, other toxins to leak through. And once it leaks through and gets into your bloodstream, now all those things are traveling around to other organs. So when you really get into naturopathic medicine, the root is, health begins in the gut. And really, we got to make sure that our patients' GI systems in their gut is not damaged. It doesn't have inflammation. And then also, everything, there's a lot of different pieces of the gut, which is like the liver and the gallbladder is very interconnected to the gut. Like the gallbladder helps release bile and that helps absorb fat. So if that's not working right and you become fat deficient, that's a big problem. If the pancreas releases enzymes into the small intestine. So if that's not working right, we need to support absorption with enzymes. And then you have, you have the small intestine and then you have the large intestine. If things aren't moving right, you have a big problem. So a lot of times I always say here in America, it's like constipation nation. Like everybody is so constipated, and now in their gut, they're reabsorbing all these nasty toxins that should be getting out of them. And that's making them sicker too. So, when health begins in the gut, there's a lot of different pieces to it and why the gut's important. But to me, it just makes sense to have and put the emphasis on the health, especially if you're presenting with really chronic symptoms and you're really sick. And then you talk to them like, hey, well, what's going on in your gut? And sometimes you can't just ask somebody, what's going on with your gut? That doesn't really make sense. You got to get really specific. How many bowel movements are you having a day? Are they solid? Are they loose? We talk a lot about poop. You just got to get comfortable with that. I talk a lot about people's bowel movements and poop and pain. Are they really gassy? Are they off gassing? Do they feel bloated all the time? Do they get pain in their stomach? Most people have stomach issues. Your average person is walking around majorly bloated, lots of stomach pain. After certain foods, they feel uncomfortable. And then they're also either really constipated or have some form of IBS. I would say 8 out of 10 of my patients, we see that. Or it's the total other extreme. They have tons of diarrhea. And when that's happening, it's affecting the rest of the body, especially the brain. There's a huge gut-brain connection, but it's also affecting all the other organs too. So does that help? Awesome. What's your other question here? Okay. Oh, what is your view? Was your other question, what's your view on integrative medicine?
Yeah, you kind of already talked about that.
I did. I mean, the thing that's really confusing out there, I think for people like yourself, and y'all are in high school, right?
I'm in high school.
You're in high school. And then Rachel, are you a freshman or did you just graduate?
Yeah, I just graduated from college.
So, there's a lot of big words out there like integrative medicine, alternative medicine, naturopathic medicine, functional medicine. And they're really confusing words for a lot of people. They all kind of encompass the same thing, and then you have your naturopath, which that gets really tricky because people are like, oh, you're a naturopath or you're a homeopath. And I'm like, not really. A naturopath, you could literally go online and sign up for like a weekend course and become a naturopath. You could do the same thing to become a trainer, a nutritionist. There's lots of little just overnight kind of or short-term courses that you can do to call yourself these things. So in the naturopathic world, I always tell people you want to make sure that if you're going to go see a naturopath or naturopathic doctor, that they've attended a 4-year licensed college. There's actually, I think 5 schools in the nation now. There's 5 naturopathic schools. 22 states are now licensed. So, you want to just make sure somebody has experience, clinical experience. You can take an online course all day long, but it doesn't really start to make sense. I don't think you can really start helping people until you get in the clinic and you're really seeing people and seeing the changes and working with them one-on-one. So my patients have taught me a ton. I learned the hard way. Sometimes you mess some people up sometimes and you're like, oh, I don't think we should do that again. So a lot of these supplements and diet changes that we make and detoxes, they are very potent on the body. They work, and it's tricky just to, you know, recommend stuff to people without having experience. So, you know, and then you have your integrative medical doctors. Those are usually medical doctors, like an MD. They went to a 4-year medical school, and then they've decided like, hey, I don't really think I like doing this. I want to dig deeper and learn more now. They want to integrate conventional medicine and learn. So they go to conferences and start to learn more. Same thing with like functional medicine as well. But there's some great conferences out there. So, you know, I think you just getting that medical background first and then building on it is huge. So, yeah, that's that for understanding kind of the different integrative and naturopathic and alternative. Like, I'm not huge with the word alternative. That's just a personal thing. I think once you get, you know, alternative, I guess, to me means a little bit more like Reiki and yoga. And those are kind of alternative things that you can do as a way of holistic or being holistic and living a holistic lifestyle and having these alternative therapies. But I don't really look at it as like alternative medicine, but you'll hear some people say that. But that's just my personal opinion. Hopefully I'm not confusing y'all. So, all right, let's see here. Do you have any more questions, Ava?
I might in a few minutes, but not right this moment.
Okay.
All
right, you're up, Rachel.
Okay. Okay, so you spoke a little bit on licensing and like different states. What does that look like since South Carolina isn't a state that?
No. So unfortunately, South Carolina is not a licensed naturopathic state. I actually looked this up for you guys earlier today. Let me see if I still have it up. Here we go. I don't know if you can see this, but all the states in green.
Yeah, I looked. Yeah,
are licensed. So if you're wanting to learn more about naturopathic medicine, naturopathic.org is our, that's the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians. They're kind of our board. And it is now 22 states are licensed, are having licensing or registration laws. And, you know, South Carolina does not have any. It is, not a licensed state. It's definitely unfortunate. But sometimes, you know, people are like, why did you move to South Carolina? Like, why would you ever want to practice in an unlicensed state? And I guess I always try to do things the hard way. It's kind of like what I do. I love Charleston. I'm just, this city has my heart, and I feel like there's a big need here for it. But it is frustrating at times. Like, I can't write prescriptions when I need to. So I've outsourced it, but see, I always figure out a way. So I have a physician that I've teamed up with. And if my patients need medicine, they go see them and we get the medicine that they need, because there is a time and a place for certain medicine. So, you know, and I kind of like the idea that I don't have to hold that, you know, I don't have to have insurance for prescribing. I don't have to hold medical insurance. Like, I feel like too, it's one more huge thing to worry about. Like, I'm already running a business and I'm already trying to help people. And then to add in the whole medical license on top of that with, you know, prescribing, and it's just one whole other element. I really, that's not my focus. I don't want to be prescribing medicines all the time. So I don't mind outsourcing it. And I've just learned to do that. So, you know, I do not diagnose. I do not treat. We do not do anything medical, or we don't use medical at all with EcoHealth. I mean, EcoHealth is a lifestyle change. I mean, it's really my knowledge, because I know the body, and people go get their own laboratory testing and they bring it to me and I help them interpret it. And then I say, hey, based on this, here's diet changes you need to make. Here's ways to heal your gut. And here's maybe some more comprehensive stuff that you could do. Once you start to really learn and understand nutritional deficiencies and how to heal the gut, and then how to detox people effectively, I mean, you can get anybody better. But first you have to identify really what the imbalances are. And sometimes that's the more difficult part. That's taken a lot of training to like really be able to figure out, you know, based on the different medications and based on their presentations, you know, what's going on with them, where are the big imbalances, and then where do we really need to focus. So, you know, back to naturopathic, you know, states in South Carolina, we formed a board, the SCANP, South Carolina Associations of Naturopathic Medicine, and that was like 10 years ago. I mean, we had this big grassroots effort and went up to Columbia and tried to get a lobbyist and tried to raise money. And we have a bill. We actually have a bill to get naturopathic medicine licensed. But it became a full-time job. It was awful. And we have families and kids, and we're trying to just, you know, basically survive. And you start getting into politics and lobbyists and having to, it was, you know, I think they wanted like 50 grand for the initial lobbyists to take it on for the first year. And then they told us to plan for another 3 to 5 years to even like start to get some momentum to get it passed. And, you know, I'm like, I don't have it in me to do this. Like, I want the state to be licensed, but, you know, hopefully we'll get some young kids like you guys that come in and just want to push the bill. We've started it. You know, if there's anybody out there watching this, I mean, we would love to get the state license. We would be able to help so many more people, but we're here in the South. Nothing happens fast here in the South. So I've just kind of learned to accept that. And I personally, like, people tell me all the time, oh, we're going to get this state license. And I want to be optimistic, but at the same time, I'm just like, I'm not waiting around for it. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm very okay with not, you know, prescribing and treating and diagnosing and being a part of that world. I really do love focusing on, you know, just the easy stuff, the diet, the nutrition, and really, you know, the detective part of it, and then giving people what they need. Like, we do infrared sauna therapy. We do the infrared jadestone Megan massage. Like, I get people sweating. I get them eliminating. We get them, you know, start decreasing inflammation with their diet. I mean, there's so many different pieces of it, but I feel like I don't necessarily need to be licensed to be successful.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's really good to hear. So you spoke a little bit on like, okay, other states are licensed. So do you think your practice would look a lot more different if South Carolina was a licensed state? I guess you would be prescribing more
You know,
potentially.
probably not.
Okay.
EcoHealth, I mean, if anything, I would be personally the one prescribing,
Right.
but that's about it. EcoHealth would still be what, you know, what it is I don't think I would change it that much. I would probably have colonics as part of EcoHealth if it was in a different state. Because one of the clinics that I trained in Arizona, it had colonics, and I loved that portion of it. And we have a referral for where our patients go get colonics here, but I would love to have that like a part of it. And in South Carolina, the licensure for that part, you have to be a massage therapist to become a colon hydrotherapist. So I actually went and tried to get the training, but they wouldn't let me because I don't have a massage therapy, even though I've been to a 4-year medical school and know the body. So, I mean, it just gets tricky. Like, here in South Carolina, the acupuncture board is under podiatry through the state. Like, it's just, it makes no sense, but that's who regulates the acupuncture board. And, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, would I function differently in another state? I don't know if EcoHealth would have even existed if I would have been in another state, because I probably would have just worked for somebody. And I don't know if I would have necessarily started my own. Like, and when you're in licensed states, there's so many options. Like, people already have clinics. There's naturopathic clinics like on every corner when you're in Arizona and California and up in Oregon and Washington and up north, like in New Hampshire and Connecticut, Vermont. Like, there's naturopaths everywhere. I probably would have just said, hey, can I join your practice and work for you? And not, you know, I don't even know if the concept of EcoHealth, just because I think I was in an unlicensed state and I would just started my own business, it just morphed into the things that I really enjoyed and wanted for my patients.
Right.
So it's really easy when you're not, especially when you're starting off, just to work for somebody else. And then you just kind of get in that groove. It's a lot of work to go off and open your own business. Like, I think but I did it and I never looked back. So, and that was because I was in an unlicensed state and I was like, I'm just going to create this like this. I'm going to rent a little place and I'm going to start doing X, Y, and Z. And I just did it. And here we are.
Yeah. That's awesome. So for me, I right now am trying to decide between DO or ND school.
Yeah.
And so I'm just looking at like, what do you feel like DOs get a good bit of holistic training? I know that it's like a little more holistic than MD, because I am interested in actually mission work abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think holistic treatment is the way to go, especially abroad when there aren't, prescriptions are not sustainable at all.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking into that. Do you think naturopathic medicine is way more beneficial than going to a DO school? What's your viewpoint on that?
And I don't mean this in any bad way towards my own profession, because I am so grateful for the education that I had. I would never change it for the world. I had the most amazing mentors and I loved my school, Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine in Arizona. But knowing what I know now, I would tell you to go to DO school. And I know that probably sounds terrible to some of the people and some of my colleagues out there, like, what is she saying? I mean, and so it's a little tricky too, because I think it's a personal choice of like too, where if you're going to be doing mission work and stuff, like I don't know if you could get that covered with naturopathic background. Like if DO is more conventionally recognized. So if you're looking to, like, you could get a job at the drop of a hat being a DO. You cannot get the job at the drop of a hat being a naturopathic doctor. I'm just sorry, but you can't. At least I haven't seen it. And I have colleagues that I graduated with that still don't have a job.
Okay.
So it's a tougher path unless you have the time and energy to pave the way yourself. And it takes a lot of skills, like a lot of business. Like I had to go to Chamber of Commerce and take business classes. I did not know what in the world I was doing. Like it's a lot of work. Like, and I think most people don't think about that when they're going to naturopathic school. They're just like, oh, I'm going to go learn this amazing stuff. I'm going to heal the world. I'm going to learn, I'm going to get this degree and then poof, I'm going to have this beautiful job and I'm going to be making over 150 grand a year. I hate to break it to you. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Well, that's good to hear. That gives me a lot more clarity than,
Yeah. Well, and not to say, so this is what I would recommend to you. You need to call some DOs and you need to ask them like, okay, what's your experience? And, if you were to get out of school, DOs, they get a lot more clinical experience. We get clinicals, don't get me wrong. Naturopaths do. I had 2 years of clinicals. But postgraduate, I did not get many clinical, or the college doesn't offer that. I actually was lucky enough. I seeked out my own mentor and I got 3 years like of post-clinical working with patients. I had the most amazing mentor ever, Dr. Alan Lieberman. And he taught me more than what I learned in naturopathic school, So I think like it's really, and another thing with naturopathic school that, I loved learning this stuff. Like I loved learning homeopathy. Like most people don't even understand what homeopathy is. Like it's energy medicine. It's fascinating. It's like you take, like I always use like onion for an example, Allium cepa. It's an onion. It's Latin name for onion. Well, what does an onion do when you chop it all up and you hold it in your hand and you feel it and smell it? And so your eyes are going to water, your nose is going to get runny. Like, so it's like cures like homeopathy, like cures like. So the onion that actually causes these symptoms, the watery nose, if you dilute that onion, you put it in a solution, you succuss it, you shake it up, you dilute it, you put it in a tincture, and then you actually give a little bit. It's like a vaccine, but vaccine still has the actual like constituents in it. Like homeopathy, it's like just the energy of the original substance. So when you do that, it takes your symptoms away if you get the right match. So we learned, I mean, I did 2.5 years of learning homeopathy. I'm trained in acupuncture. I loved acupuncture. I can't do acupuncture here in South Carolina. I learned we had to do physical medicine. Like it's a lot. Like most people would just go to acupuncture school or chiropractor school or homeopathy school. Like you're learning everything. And to me, I'm kind of ADD. It's very well known in my practice and my business. That's part of me and eco health, but it was information overload. It was a lot of moving parts, and there's no way you can just graduate naturopathic school and like do everything that you just learned. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. On top of that, you've learned all this nutrition, you've learned all these diets. You're also like, I mean, it's just a lot. I mean, the principles that are there are phenomenal, but when it comes to like the execution of everything you've learned, it's like you graduate and you're kind of confused. You're like, holy crap. Like I know, you know, so much. Right. And then, but you can't just go do all of that. And, you know, it's hard. DO, I think you're really getting the medical background that you need. And then you would choose kind of what path you just wanted to learn more about, whether it was, okay, I want to do more detox stuff. I want to do more nutrition stuff. I want to be a DO that specializes in X. That's what I would do. If I could redo my whole career, I would just say, not go into naturopathic school. Okay. Actually, I can't say that. I mean, I loved it so much, but I just needed to learn. I needed more focus, if that makes sense. Like naturopathic was so spread out. So, I mean, it's so much of everything, which, I mean, it was great now because my brain is filled with everything. I'm very knowledgeable. But it's hard to practically, I mean, I don't use half the stuff that I learned, and I'm still paying my student loans for it. It's just a lot. I mean, you need to have a focus. It's taken me forever as a business too, like that. Like you can't do everything. Like you just can't. Like you have to really know, like, okay, this is what turns me on. Like, this is what makes me happy. This is like, I want to get excited about this. I can't stop reading books about this. I want to go to Barnes and Noble. I want to go look at more books. I want to read, I want to watch these podcasts or listen to these podcasts. I want to watch webinars on this. Like you just start sucking up that info. And for me, that was like microbiome stuff, gut health stuff, anything about the liver, detox, that, like, I wish I could have just really stayed focused on that and not had to learn all the other things.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I think from what I know of DO school, I would agree. It's like they're trying to train you to like hone in on one area to like really run with that. Yeah. I think, well, what I think going into all this is like potentially pediatrics.
Yeah.
And so, which, oh, freaking oh, that's so bad.
Can you hear me? I can still hear you. Uh-oh, I think we lost her. Is she going to pop back on? Maybe she will. Well, I'm going to say something to the pediatrics thing. Are you still there, Ava? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, Rachel's coming back on. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So Rachel, I was just saying, like, I wanted to be a pediatrician. Like, that's what.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In the very beginning of all this, like, I would say that all the time when I was, before I even got to high school. What do you want to be when you grow up? I'm going to be a pediatrician. Like, I always loved kids and I wanted to help kids. So, and I was fascinated with learning all of the pediatrics through naturopathic school, which was great. I had a great teacher, Dr. Burrell, who, it was good info. And I had some great clinical rotations with kids. And then when I got out of naturopathic school, when I worked with Dr. Lieberman, we did a ton of autism. So I ended up like learning on these kids and, really their guts are just so messed up and, they don't detox and they're so nutritionally deficient. So It's great to work with the kids. It's fun and they teach you a lot. The parents teach you a lot. I did get frustrated because at times it's not really the kid. Like you really have to wait for, it's like the parents, like you're also working on the parents, if that makes sense. I'm like, you can't feed him pizza. Like, don't come back to me and tell me one more day you're going to feed him more pizza. He's so gluten, like so sensitive to gluten. So I struggled with that a little bit, but then I just quickly learned, I'm like, okay, you can't be my patient if you're going to do this. Like, I had to like screen them and they had to do an application, and I would only work with them if
they would agree. That I hear that a ton of, like, you think you're going into kids, but you're really going into parents. Yes. With that being said, and a little bit of like their gut health, what is your viewpoint on vaccines? Because I think I'm just a little bit nervous going into a more like, conventional medicine heavy, because I'm sure that you've seen some vaccine injury.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, so I am not anti-vaccine one bit. I'm pro safety of vaccines. So show me the studies of like the double-blind placebo studies, and the problem is that they're not out there. They don't exist. Yeah, exactly. And, so then you have to just step back and, are some of these kids, they are just the canaries in the coal mine. I mean, they are genetically more susceptible. We have genetic SNPs and you don't really know that until it's too late. And that's the really sad part. And yes, I have seen hundreds of vaccine induced, autism. I mean, it is a thing. It is not for real. You learn it from the parents. And until you go through that, you can't even relate to their world. And that's the sad part. And I've seen the worst of it. So, it's a thing. And especially with COVID and, it's a big word, it's a big topic. And I always tell people, just do your research. And for parents out there, this is what drives me crazy. And especially like I saw it with my friends, I've seen it with my colleagues, I've seen it, you get pregnant and you're so excited to have a baby and you're just like, you're researching everything and what kind of crib should I get and what kind of mattress and we don't want SIDS, like what kind of good, non-toxic mattress can we get for the kid? And then they research the car seat to death. Like what's the safest car seat out there? I mean, we got to get the best. We're going to get this kid a good car seat. And then they just walk into their pediatrician and just blindly hand them over and just let them start injecting stuff in their body without even
they trust it.
A drop of research. They trust the system.
They trust the doctor.
And, it's changed and things have changed.
Yeah.
I just wish people would research them as much as they do the car seats and the cribs and the mattresses and, because I'm just like, there's a time and a place for them. Do they really need 78 before the age of 2? Can't say I necessarily agree with that. So spacing them out, doing alternative schedule, that's really what I'm about. And then it's very individualized for that patient. I always tell my patients, vaccines are designed for you to get them when you are healthy. So if you have been sick or you have gut issues or you have allergies or I think you just get in there and they don't even ask you if you're sick or what's been going on. It's just like, they're just going to catch you up and get you on schedule. That's the problem. It's like they're just not really doing them the way that they're designed. And you have to be healthy at the time that you get them. And a lot of these kids aren't healthy. And it's, there's a lot of money and politics behind it. And, so I really just try to meet parents where they're at and, we work through it. But yeah, you're, in the pediatric world, just so DO or not, like that's going to be your world.
Yeah. That I think is like my primary source of like,
you won't be able to work for the like regular hospitals and like if you're on mission trips, that's what you'll be doing, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Because I was looking into, I know there are a few DOs that don't like over vaccinate or like stick to the vaccine schedule and like do hear patients out and like try to pay attention to that. Do you think like that is possible and like could be a goal to be in that field? And
Yeah,
try to
I
have
think
a more
it could be.
holistic
I mean,
approach?
so it really depends. So every state, what you need to do, every state is different with
Okay.
vaccines. Same thing. I mean, it's really tricky. There's a lot of people moving to South Carolina because South Carolina, actually, we have religious exemption. So
Yeah.
with everything going on COVID wise, like people couldn't even, like their kids couldn't go back to school
Yeah.
because they haven't had them vaccinated and,
Mhm.
you know, or the full schedule. And so, you know, if they come here, there are ways around it. I honestly have a feeling a lot of that's changing here in the upcoming years. So who knows where we'll be at that time, but there is a lot of awareness, and there's, you know, there's a lot of just gray areas around what's going on with all of this, but it is very state dependent. So that's what you want to, that's really, as long as you work in a state that you have vaccine exemptions, then I
Right.
think that that kind of is that umbrella of, you know, where you have some wiggle room, but some
Okay.
states don't operate that like that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, I have a few family friends that their kids aren't vaccinated, and they're kind of in the place where they're like, we're just not gonna take our kids to the doctor at all because we're
Yeah.
so
Well, that's scary
afraid.
though. So it's like now we have these underground doctors.
Yeah, I know. And so
And
so
they
then
are there. They exist. It's kind of crazy.
yeah. So then I'm just in a place of like, well, I could, you know, go the DO route, which would be more difficult to have the viewpoint of like, let's not push all these vaccines into kids that already have like, you know, poor gut health, etc. So I could potentially be a DO for that kind of a family that's like, you know, we're not going to vaccinate, or, you know, we want to have
Yeah,
different.
I think there's always a, you know, a like if you have a medical reason to, you know, delay there can always be like a medical reason to delay, especially if they have major issues. So absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So that would hopefully be my.
Yeah, hold on one quick second.
Okay.
Hey Lake.
Getting my charger.
It's probably wherever the iPad was plugged in. Sorry, I didn't realize my computer is like on 5%. So
Yeah,
all right,
that's what happened to
we're
me
still
too.
recording. This is great. All right, so give me a couple more questions. She's gonna plug me in here. So I got about 10 more minutes.
Okay. Ava, do you have any more questions?
So are you familiar with like ADHD and treating that?
Oh, I have it. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
So in my paper, I'm doing a senior thesis project, and I'm talking about treating ADHD.
uh-huh.
So what's your view on, I guess, treating that like more holistically, or like is there exception to taking medication for it?
There's always an exception, you know, exceptions for medication. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Will you plug me in over there? You know, there's always a time and a place for meds. So, you know, if we need meds, we need meds. But you know, for the most part, ADHD is, I would say, I mean, 90% foods that you're eating. I mean, it's the sugar. It's gut imbalance. Most people have gut issues, and then it's neurotransmitter imbalance. Here, move that back over there. Sorry, guys. I'm getting a little assistance here for, that's not gonna fit. I gotta move over to plug it in. There you go.
It's you.
So it's a lot of the chemicals that are in our food, like, you know, artificial flavors, preservatives, all the red food colorings and food dyes. A lot of times too, people have essential fatty acid deficiency. So I know that has helped a lot of my patients getting their, like, taking more fish oil. You know, have you heard of inflammation in the brain?
I haven't.
Okay, so that's you know, when you get into ADHD, a lot of times it's like, okay, there's this underlying chronic inflammatory response going on in the brain. Hold on one second. Hey, Lake, move the lamp for me, please. So sorry, you guys. There we go. So it's essential fatty acids are important. Minerals are extremely important. So really you need to find the right balance of, you know, diet and what you're taking in. Are you breaking it down? Are you absorbing it? Do you have enough protein? Protein in ADHD is huge. Whoa, there we go. Okay, I had some light that's a big light there. Trying to think what else. Zinc is a big one. Magnesium's a big one. I mean, I found too, like hydration. Most people, if you're chronically dehydrated, the brain and ADHD. So people getting on the alkaline ionized Kangen water always notice that they have more focus, that they feel more clear, their brain functions better. Also, food sensitivities is a big one. A lot of times people are eating foods that really sedate their brain activity and they can't stay focused. That's a big one, is dairy. I see that a lot in my ADHD kids. So we do food testing for that. A lot of times people have candida. Sometimes people have heavy metal issues. There's so many different pieces of it. I would encourage you to go to Great Plains Laboratory for your thesis. GreatPlainsLaboratory.com. So I used to work for that company, and Dr. William Shaw is another brilliant mentor of mine, but they have a handout. At least I don't know if they still have their handout or not. It's an ADHD handout, and it has a circle, and then it has like all these different bubbles around it, and it's like all the different causes, going into ADHD. And it's true that I show that handout to all my people that come in with ADHD. And it's like, okay, well, it's not that you're all of them, but it's usually some pretty big components of it. Mainly the one being the food you're eating, your diet, all the sugar, lack of mineral deficiencies, and gut stuff, and dehydration. So you focus on drinking a lot more water, getting more minerals, eating healthier, getting off the sugar. Like it's, but that's hard. People need help doing that. So that's where it's, signing up to be a patient or do a program or come to a retreat. Or it's like, sometimes you just need, it's like getting over the bridge. Like, how am I going to get from A to B? It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen from reading a blog. It doesn't happen from like one thing. Like, for example, I just had a patient, and he's been a patient for a while, about 6 months, and we've really been working hard. And he was drinking quite a bit, and I had to tell him, like, listen, if you're going to keep drinking, like, I can't help you. And then what is it going to take for him to really make this mindset to get serious? And we did his blood work, and his liver enzymes were elevated. So, and he's lost 15 pounds. Like, it finally just switched. I was like, listen, here's the deal. Look at what's going on with your liver. Look at what's doing with your body. If you're going to keep going down this path, like, I am not the one to work with you at all. Like, I can help you fix this. I can help prevent, like, once your liver goes and your liver enzymes are spiking and you're, damaging your liver all day long, like, I can't keep you healthy. So, and he did. It was like it's funny how sometimes it always takes like a little bit of like something to happen that really send people like, oh, my dad had a heart attack, or my friend's parent died of this, or, there's something that usually just flips that switch, and then they start to do it. So, okay. What's the next question?
Do you have one, Ava, or no?
I think I'm good.
That was the ADHD. See, there we went. I was all over the place.
No, you're so good. Okay, so I think one more question. You mentioned heavy metals and different detoxes. Do you like often? What does a detox look like for your patients?
So it's usually 7 to 14 days, depending on the patient. And it's usually they're replacing 2 meals a day with shakes. And then they're taking some other supplements, and they're doing a lot of infrared sauna, and they're drinking a ton of Kangen water and green juices. Now, but I individualize it for everybody. But that's kind of the base of it. Because some people, if you detox them too fast, they're going to get too sick. Some people will do 1 smoothie a day. I adjust it, but I do have just like a proprietary 2-week, 14-day detox.
Okay.
Pretty simple that anybody can do, but detox means different things to different people. So you can detox a ton of different ways. You can do a juice fast and detox. You can, not eat bread and grains. That's a detox. You can, do a water fast. That's a detox. There's lots of different ways. My detox is really going after pushing the liver, that phase 1, phase 2 pathway. And, you know, providing the amino acids and the nutrients to do that. And then also making sure they're getting the smoothies and healing the gut and, you know, filling their body with the really good foods while we're trying to upregulate elimination and kick out the bad stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not as much as like using like a TRS spray or like a vaccine detox from Earthly, none of that.
No, I mean, those are all good. That gets more in like lymphatic drainage stuff, and that's a little bit deeper. And, you know, binding, giving chelators for different metals, like that's very specific. So that wouldn't be like my first tool. Now, if they came in vaccine injured and like had mercury and lead and was really high, like that would change things.
Okay, that makes sense. Awesome.
All right, I think I have a couple more questions here.
Okay.
Do you what was your coursework set up in school? Did you have blocks? No, we just had, gosh, it's been so long. You know, it's like 15 years ago. We had like a full day. I mean, it was, you know, depending on labs and stuff like that, but it was, you know, I had a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule and a Tuesday, Thursday schedule and a clinic schedule. And it was pushing the grind. I lived in the library. Get to know your library. It was a lot. So yeah, it was blocks all day long of classes, study groups and clinic, and it was crazy. So what did you take something similar to boards? We actually had boards. So Arizona, like I had to pass the boards. That was like the worst week of my life.
Yeah.
I did not think I was going to pass them. It's very, very intensive. It's actually a 3-day. Is it 2 days or 3 days? Maybe it was only 2 days. I forget, but it's like back to back. Like you have to go and like, it was nuts. But yeah, you have boards there. It's like the bar for lawyers. You got to pass your boards to get your license.
Right.
It's just so much. I think with the naturopathic school, I mean, you got to know everything from acupuncture, everything from physical medicine, everything from homeopathy, nutrition, pediatrics, gastro. I mean, all your you know, we had to know pharmacology. We had to know all the herbs. Like, I mean, it was, looking back on it, it's crazy all the stuff that we learned. But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
That is what, see, when you say all that stuff, then I'm like, I want to learn that in DO's, like, I'm just worried that DO school would be good, but like not holistic, like not enough holistic training.
Well, you can always get the holistic training after.
Okay.
Like you would, I guess like you just want to have security. You want to know like, okay, I'm going to pay for all of this. I'm going to invest, you know, 200 grand into this training. I want to be able to walk out and know I can get a job in any state. I can travel and do mission work. I can get a job and work at any hospital, and you're considered, you know, it's security. And that for me as a woman is what I would want, especially this day and age. Naturopathic medical school does not give you that.
Yeah, that's what that was my biggest concern.
I'll argue that all day long. Like, we are not licensed in all the states. We're like frowned upon. People think we're like quack in half the states, you know, like you have to like argue like what you do. I have to like stand up. I'm like, no, I don't really do that. I don't, it's like so confusing. Like and I don't know who to blame it on, but it's like, I guess it's just our board and association. Like they've never really done what they needed to do to get us the credibility that we really need. And, you know, now you have functional medicine. Like that was naturopathic doctors that started that. It was like, oh, and look at what they built. Functional medicine is more popular than naturopathic medicine.
Yeah.
Like it's a little, so as a profession, I hate to say it, unless some things have changed that I don't know about because I'm over here in little South Carolina. I would go the DO route, and you can always build on that and, seek out and shadow and work with naturopathic doctors. And I mean, there's some wonderful, amazing ones out there. Like, I mean, I do love my profession. I'm just giving honest advice from where I came from and working out of state. If you were in Arizona, if you're like, oh no, I want to live in Arizona, I want to live in California, like go to naturopathic school, like you're secure.
Right.
But you're telling me you wanted to like travel and do mission work and I'm like, I don't think that's good for you.
Okay.
So that's where it's going to be different for each person, just depending on, if they're going to practice in state or not. And
that makes, that's so much clarity. So would you say DO over MD? You think DO, there's a good difference there with more holistic training?
Yeah. I mean, I would think so. I honestly can't tell you 100%. I haven't researched it. My daughter is like sitting here, like looking at me. You're gonna have to give me a second. I don't know exactly what their curriculum is and how it compares, but I know it's definitely more DO. I mean, a little bit more holistically, approached. I think there's, they're more open to it. You're learning more, a lot of physical medicine, more about the body, that I think that would really help you in the long run. Okay. So it says, what does your day look like in the office? Oh, you all really want to know? I'm just playing. No, I come in and have a morning meeting with my office assistant. And then that usually takes 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the day. And, we're always trying to look ahead, like, because we have so many patient charts. So we're reviewing patient charts, who's coming in and what labs have come back in and what do I need to review and what supplements are they on. It's like I kind of have to go back and prep for each one. I see an average of probably 5 to 8 patients a day. Okay. 8, not so much anymore. We cut that back. 8 is a little bit too much for me to do in a day because I'm spending about 30 minutes with each person. So I'm a talker. I'm very detailed. I'm very thorough. I've tried to do it in less than that, and it just doesn't happen. So we just have accepted I'm going to spend 30 minutes with each patient. And so, so then I will see a couple patients in the morning and then have a break for lunch. Every now and then I get a walk-in. And then I see more patients in the afternoon, and then I do an afternoon wrap up with my office assistant, and we wrap everything up and we're sending off a bunch of emails and supplement charts and all sorts of handouts and videos. I like to educate people. Mm-hmm. So, at the end of everybody's consult, we have action steps. There's usually 3 for each patient of what we're going to do and what we expect them to do. And then we'll send them an email summary saying, hey, it was great to speak with you today. Here's what we discussed. Cause we like to have like a track record and a timeline of what we're doing. I'm glad X, Y, and Z has improved. Here's the next steps, and people like to have it in writing. And then we have an online supplement store where we send them everything, and I do my dosages and, or diet stuff that we're going to do, or testing and labs. There's a lot of logistics of moving parts that go with it. So I have help for that. That's not my forte. I don't enjoy that part.
You mentioned a supplement store and just like thinking about all the different supplements that are out there and foods. Are you like full-blown organic or no?
Yeah, for the most part. I would say I tell people 80-20 rule. I mean, I never would tell somebody, oh, if you come see me, you're going to have to eat 100% organic. I don't even think it's practical this day and age. I mean, it's really hard and seasonally to get certain, fruits and vegetables. So yes, I want people to buy organic when possible. Okay. But local's also good, as long as, there's a lot of farmers out there. They can't call themselves organic, but they're really not using a lot of pesticides on their farm. And I like to tell people local, I'd rather you get a food that just was picked out of the ground yesterday or this morning and get it in your mouth, because you're getting more of the vital enzymes. You're getting more of the nutrients from that food that has just been picked. than something that was picked and shipped from Costa Rica 3 weeks ago, and it was pre-ripened and, so I like to do more local stuff. When I'm at the store, the farmer's market, but you can't always be perfect. So we do what we can. And, so yeah, organic is great, but local is awesome too.
Okay. That's good. Good to hear.
I think that, so what health issues do most of your patients face? Wow, it's been a lot of everything from like acne to eczema, psoriasis to chronic GI stuff, IBS, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. I see a lot of people that come in, they're like, I fix my gut. But then I also see depression, anxiety. That's very gut related. I'm trying to think, sometimes people just want to lose weight. I have a lot of women that come to me and they're just like, something's wrong with me. My doctors keep telling me I'm normal, but X, Y, and Z friend told me that you could help. Like, I just feel like I'm going crazy. Like, and a lot, that's like hormones. So we do a lot with, and then like PMS and a lot of menstrual irregularities. I see that. But I work them up all the same.
Yeah. Sounds like you do everything. Yeah. Every medical field you got in your office.
Yeah. And now I've gotten really so here's the thing. I think it's taken me a while to get where I'm at, but I don't work with everybody anymore. Like there's a whole application process. I'm very picky. I literally see 6 to 8 new patients a month. Like we have my schedule tight, and I get really invested in the people that I work with, and I literally lose sleep over them. Like my office manager and my office assistant, like they're always like laughing at me because I will text and email in the middle of the night, like remembering about a patient and, oh, how are they feeling? And, if they're not really invested and they're all over the place and they're, like, for example, I have one patient who, every time I'm like, okay, here's what you need to do, X, Y, Z. And then, she'll go out, and one of her friends has a multi-level marketing company that they work with, and she wants her to try X, Y, and Z. So she's always coming back to me, like asking me, and I'm like, did you even do what I told you to do? It's like, they don't listen. Cannot work with people like that anymore at all. They have to be 100% in, like, ready, type A, motivated, high achieving, high performing women. I work great with, like, entrepreneurs and business owners, attorneys, realtors. Those are my, like, I like working. It's an investment. So it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna go see, like, a lot of people call my office and it's kind of, I feel bad because they're like, oh, I want to come see that naturopathic doctor. And and some, we get calls a lot where they're like, yeah, I want to come see her. I want to come see her. And, I think they kind of get sticker shocked at the price. It is, to get on as a consult, but it's not just like, oh, you just come in for 15 minutes. Like it just works so differently than your average medical office. There's a ton of paperwork I have to review up front. If they have labs there's a lot of upfront work that I do. And then once they become a patient, if I think it's a good fit, I'll accept them and we'll do a program together. And, it's been nice to sometimes say no. I think I've learned how to say no.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't think this is going to be a good fit, or they're not ready, or I'm maybe not the right person to work with them. It's, and that's been big for me. I just started doing this like in the past year or two, and it's really transformed my practice, and it's really given me a lot of freedom, and it's been so much more fun to work with these people. Like, I'm actually like really starting to do what I loved. There were times I was just like burning the candle at both ends and just trying to, everybody that called, it was like, okay, just get them on my schedule, just get them on my schedule. And then I'm like, they don't even like what, they're not even doing these things. Like they have no idea where, like, I couldn't take it. I'm like, okay, no. I learned how to create some boundaries. It's really important, especially when you have your own business and 2 kids. And like, it's just like, okay, I've been doing this. I know what I'm doing. I can help people. And now here, if they want to work with me, like bring it on, but here's how it's going to work.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's hard to get on your schedule. So.
It is. I know. It's crazy.
Like, now I'm nervous about that.
Happened. It's, but y'all got on here. I was like, oh my gosh. Well, so just so y'all know, like people call my office probably once or twice a week and we get this. And
well,
I just feel bad because I'm like, I can't do this for every person that calls and wants more information. Like it's definitely, you know, it's a great field to be in. And I get it. Y'all get these little projects and they tell you to go call people and you want more information. And so that's why I just told Lindsay, I was like, you know what, I'm going to record one and we're going to now for whoever calls, they are going to get this recording and see you guys. Yeah. And it's at least a start for them. And, you know, it's probably going to answer a lot of the same questions that you guys have. So, all right, well, let's wrap this up. Ava, do you have one last question?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yes.
Are you going to naturopathic medical school now?
I don't know.
I'm just playing. What about you, Rachel? Where has this been helpful?
So helpful. I have been, I mean, it's time to study for the MCAT if I decide to go to school. So and I actually started medical school applications in the fall and kind of stopped and halted and was like, do I really want to do this? And so this has been a ton of clarity for me. So I cannot thank you.
Good. You're really welcome. I always tell people you want to go like shadow as many people as you can if they'll let you, like just say like, hey, or be an intern, like, hey, I have 3 to 6 months, like I would love to, you know, come learn more and shadow and be a part of it. It's so eye-opening. Like for example, Lindsay, and I don't think she'll mind me sharing this, but she's been talking about going to PT school. And she came in as an intern and like, now she's like, no way, I'm not going, I don't think I want to go to PT school anymore. Yeah. This is way cooler. You know, she's seeing, when you start to see these transformations and you see the changes and you see what happens in these people, it's very rewarding. It's really awesome. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I love doing what I do. This is like definitely like what I was meant to do. And I love it. So are you here in Charleston?
Yeah, I am. I just graduated College of Charleston in May with biochem. So I actually have shadowed tons of like MDs and always was like, I'll be an OB or a pediatrician. Like that's all good. And then started to like really look into vaccines and gut health. I have a ton of stomach issues myself. And so I have like honed in on that, trying to like fix everything I can. And I'm like, you know, I was on antibiotics for 2 years. No doctor told me to take antibiotics. Yeah. And so I've just been trying to do the best I can with that. And then now I'm like, wait, hold on. I want to be an MD and prescribe antibiotics and vaccine. And I was just like, I don't know if I can full blown go into that with no holistic.
There's a moral behind it. I mean, it would be really hard for me to do. I don't know if I could sleep at night, you know.
That's how I feel. Exactly.
You know, but some people can. So it sounds like you need to come in and I need to fix your gut.
Yeah. That's why I'm worried that it's hard to get on your schedule. I've needed it for a long time.
We'll talk to Lindsay, and then too, you know, we will probably be bringing on an intern later in the fall or maybe the summer. I don't know. Well, you could talk to her about that. We usually do have an intern, and right now we don't, but I'll have to ask her when we'll maybe bring on another one. We kind of have the next couple months. I don't foresee us doing that, but I don't know. We might.
Okay, well, I'm so open. So please let me know.
Okay. Well, follow up with Lindsay. She's my right hand, and she is the one. Everybody goes through Lindsay, and then they'll get on my schedule. So at least come by the office and let us give you a tour. Ava, if you want to come by and check out the office too, come see the infrared saunas and the Mi-Gun and try some Kangen water and see the oasis that I've created at EcoHealth here in an unlicensed state. More of a spa, EcoHealth Wellness Center and Detox Spa. We make getting healthy like fun and relaxing and, you know, supportive, a very nurturing environment. So awesome.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Great, guys, and thank you for your permission for letting us share this video. It'll probably be on YouTube. And we'll probably email it out to people. Like if they call and have questions, we're going to say, I think we did it for like an hour. So this is a lot of information. I think it's really good stuff for people to hear. So y'all had some good questions.
Thank you so
All right,
much. It answered
so
all my
welcome.
questions.
All right, you take care. Y'all have a great day.
You too.
Bye.